Okay, share screen. Okay, you can totally see, very short. More demo today than talking. All right, so we're talking about Python dictionaries for this morning. It's a new data type that if you've done programming before, maybe you're familiar with this data type. If not, that's fine. You're going to learn about it. And it's probably the most useful data type. It's something you're probably already kind of familiar with, right? It's kind of in the name. It's a dictionary, right? It's storing things by key value pairs. And I'll give you some great examples of how we actually use it. And then you're going to be doing some writing some code and uploading it to run code to prove that you kind of know how dictionaries are used in programming and how it's useful to us. Okay, quick outline. We're talking about data types in general. We'll talk about a type of data type called collection data types. We'll talk about how to use dictionaries. This is where I will demo a few things, and then we'll get right to it. So we already know some basic data types. What is the simplest, most basic primitive data type that there exists? Someone tell me. What do you think it is?
A string?
Simpler.
Hints.
Simpler.
Character?
Simpler.
Items.
Nope. What can you only be in a computer?
Ones and zeros.
Ones and zeros. And what do we, if you're not a 1, you're a 0. So if you're not true, you're false, right? So that's the simplest data type we have. On or off, true or false, 1 or 0, Booleans, right? This is our most basic data type. It actually takes the least amount of data to store too, right? Because it's either on or off, true or false. Next data type that we have that's pretty simple is strings. This is just a collection of characters. They are immutable, just like Booleans. We cannot change a string. We can only create a new string and set that as something. That's why you have like plus equals. You can never, you can never just change a string. They're immutable. You have to reassign a string. And then we have numbers and different flavors of numbers, I'll say. I'm not going to go into the details about them, but just know that we have different kinds of numbers, right? We have integers, we have floating points, and we have complex numbers. Fantastic. Let's talk about the collection types of data types. We have lists, and we're already familiar with lists, right? They are just ordered collections of any kind of data that we want. They're very useful. You could think of like a grocery list or a shopping list or a Christmas card list, right? It's just an ordered list of things, and they're ordered by their indices, right? We start at 0 and move through. We can store pretty much whatever we want in a list. We could put in Booleans, we could put in strings, we can put in other lists, we can put in their dictionaries when we get to it, right? So it's just a collection of data, ordered collection. Next up, we have a tuple, very similar to a list. We're not going to be playing with them too much in the immediate future. I just want you to be familiar with them. It's an immutable ordered collection of data. So, take a list and, we can add things to the list, and we can change things in the list. But a tuple, we can't do that with, right? It's just, you can't change them. There's a big difference between them. We have a set, which is an unordered collection of unique items, right? So we can't have any duplicates in it, and there's no order to it. Again, we're not going to be playing too much with sets. We're not going to need them too much for our problems. I just want you to be aware that there is a different kind of collection type, and it's called a set, and they're unique inside of a set. Sometimes those are useful to us. For the problems today, I'll be straight up. We don't need them. And then finally, the ones we're going to be using today, the star of the show, are the dictionaries. And these are an unordered set of key value pairs. And I want you to think of them pretty much like dictionaries are, right? We have words in a dictionary, and words have meanings in their dictionary or definitions in their dictionary. It's going to be the same thing. We're going to have keys in a dictionary, and those keys are going to have values associated with them. Cool. That's the whole presentation. Let's actually play with some dictionaries. So let's go here. Do we need this open? We don't. I'll just close. Let's do that. And I'll show you how I do this. So I have a directory called Python dicts. Python dicts. And do I have let me remove that example, and let's make an example. By example.py. Okay. So here I'm mostly going to be doing any demos in Vim. Why? Just, I know everyone at least has it. If you want to use Nano, that's fine. If you want to write your code in like Notepad or VS Code and bring it over some other way, that's totally fine as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in my shebang so that my interpreter knows we're going to use Python for this as the interpreter for this file. User bin nv Python 3 for me. And I always like to do a sanity check every pretty much step of the way. And so I'm just going to say print hi. Okay. The way I like to do my code is have it side by side so I can look at my code and I can run it at the same time. So we're all using the same terminals. This is the default one that comes in Kali. You can right click and you can split your terminal. If you didn't know about this feature, it's fantastic. So I'm going to split it vertically, and I'll usually just be doing my stuff like this. So I'll make this a little larger. Boo, 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 boo. I'll cd to that same directory, Python dicts right here. There's nothing in there yet. And then I just :W to save the file. That way I could see it and it's open and I could see the lines. And then here is where I'll run the code, and then I'll watch it error. Errors are my friend for like 99% of the time because they tell me what I'm doing wrong in a pretty explicit way and in a Googleable way, which is fantastic. So let's change mode, make it executable, example.py, and let's run example. Go ahead.
Question: how did you split the terminal? Like I'm right clicking on it and it's not happening.
No, I'm doing a right click gesture and I'm getting this menu right in the thing. But I am using a Mac, so it's like a 2-finger press. But I'm pretty sure that's just right click gesture.
I think that's the terminal for PWK. The one, the default, default full stack one doesn't have that.
Oh, it's a different terminal?
Yeah.
The updated 2020.
The updated 2021 can do this. Okay, so a couple options you have there during lunch. You can either switch to a newer version of Kali, or you can use a different terminal. Terminator is a nice one, I guess. You can just download it. I think it's like apt-get install Terminator. I'll find it for you.
So while we're on the question of the versions of Kali, I have, I think, the 2019 image on the VBox. Did you guys update to a 2020 version?
It doesn't matter. So at this point on, it doesn't matter. I want to, for 99% of things, because I'm sure something might not work, it doesn't matter which version you want. And I want you to be comfortable and become comfortable. These VMs, they're made to be blown away. Right? You don't become attached to them. So if you want during lunch, I would suggest go ahead and download maybe the 2019 Kali image. I would suggest maybe not the 2021 yet, because there's slightly more changes. For example, there's no root user by default in the newest Kali.
Where's the downloads page for the image?
Send me put a Slack in our cohort channel, and I will put a link in.
Thank you.
So this is the way I usually like to do it. I'll split my terminal like that. If you're using a different version of Kali, you can either update or get a new, I can show you how to download a different terminal app, but I just kind of like doing it like this. Anyway, I run it and I see it says hi and I'm like, cool, I'm not absolutely crazy, which is great. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but at least I know how to program. All right, so let's make a dictionary, and I'll show you explicitly how we write dictionaries. Right, I'm going to make a dictionary called instructor, and the way we define dictionaries is they're defined inside curly braces like that, and we have to give them keys and we have to give them values. So I'm going to give it the key name, and we do separate the values by colon. Name's Matt, and then comma for the next key and value pair. I'm going to say age. I'll do 33. And I will do courses. And we'll put a list in here and I'll say web-dev. And I'll say cybersecurity. That looks good. And what I'll do here is I'll just print the instructor. Cool. And let's see what it looks like when you actually print a dictionary. You get it printed out just like this. Now, what do I want to show you with this? Let's make this a little bit larger. Let's make this a little bit larger. Things I want to show you is that all of the keys for now are strings. Okay, nothing super bananas there, but the values can be pretty much anything. Here I have a value that's a string. Here I have a value that's an integer. Here I have a value that's a list of strings. I could put more stuff in there if I wanted. Okay. Any questions so far on like defining explicitly defining a dictionary? Cool.
Did you mention whether or not they were mutable or immutable?
Dictionaries are mutable.
Okay.
Which is great. So let's change something in there, right? Well, let's bring that right to the point. Let's say instructor. Let's show you how to access properties first, and then I'll show you how to change them. So to access them.
I had a question. I'm sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
I see for courses you put like a little bracket and you put 2 values. So does that mean if you put a bracket, you can put multiple values for one key?
So this whole key is a list. So the
Okay.
whole key for courses is a list, which makes sense, right? Like I'm trying to make this as like an actual person, right? So the key for courses, it makes sense. There's a list of courses. These are the courses I'll teach.
Okay.
So to access a value, you use brackets, just like when you were square brackets, just like when you were accessing values inside a list. Inside a list, you would use the indices, right? Like if I wanted the 0th thing, I would put 0 here if this was a list, but it's not a list, it's a dictionary. So instead, I'm going to put the key in here. So let's say name. I want the name to print out. So I'm going to print the instructor name. And we can comment that out for now. Clear. Cool. And so here, this is how you access a value inside a dictionary. You use the brackets and you put the key that you want to access inside there, or put the name of the key for the value you want to access. All right, but wait, what if there's issue? What if I want print instructor phone, right? Let's say I'm looking for the phone number of the instructor. Let's see what happens. All right, you all agree there is no phone in this dictionary. There's no key phone. So let's see what happens if we try and access something that is not inside our dictionary. We get an error, right? And like I said, Python errors, don't be afraid of them. These things are great, right? This is how you debug things. I've been able to debug things I don't understand completely how it works by following the errors and kind of Googling them and figuring it out on the way. And if you're not super familiar with reading errors, I know it's not immediately intuitive on how to read errors. And the way to do it is to read from the bottom up, right? So the first thing that's interesting is it says key error phone, right? So if I didn't know anything, this is probably the first thing I would Google. I'd like literally just copy this, paste it, throw it into Google, Python key error phone, and it'll tell me what's going on. So let's do that. I know what it is, but let's see what would come up if I actually Google it. Boop, boop, boop. Paste that in there, and then type in Python. Look at that. I don't even have to click anything. It's a type of lookup error that denotes there was an issue retrieving the key you were looking for. The semantic meaning is the key being looked for could not be found. All right, well, that's what we expected, but I want to, just show you the whole process of how to debug these things. So this is great, right? It tells us what went wrong, but sometimes we don't want our whole application to break because a value was not set. So there's different ways that we can check if a value is set. I think the easiest and most intuitive way is using like a conditional. Right, so we can write if phone not in instructor, print instructor has no phone number. Else print their, yeah, well, let's just do that. Cool. Oops, meant to do that. Don't want that, no confusion. Cool, all right. So this is an easy way you can check if phone not in instructor, right? That pretty much is English. That's one way you can do it. And mostly the way that I'll suggest that you kind of go around thinking about this, right? If the thing you're looking for is not in it, do something. Okay, pretty common. Other way there's a couple of dictionary methods I want you guys to be familiar with. So let's just kind of Google, oops, I don't want to go there. Dictionary methods, Python. Yeah, W3 Schools is not bad. Just so you have some history of this W3 Schools website, it's like a pretty old web development website that at least I know people in the industry have known about for a while. Good place for kind of looking, if you're looking for understanding more web development things and a couple of programming things. So here you have the most common built-in methods to use on dictionaries. There's only a few that we're actually going to be playing around with or that I'm going to demo to you, but I want you to be aware that these things exist. The ones I want to show you are get. Get's a nice one. Keys, values, and what doesn't have dot items here? There it is, items. Right, I'm going to show you those because those are going to be the ones that are most useful to you. So let's take a look at get. Get is useful when you want to get a value associated with a key and you're not sure if it's already set. Right? It's like if you want to do if X not in instructor sort of thing. Instead of doing that, you could say if instructor dot get. Let's say I want to go name. Right? We'll do that. Then we could say print instructor dot get name. Okay. Let's save this. What do we expect to happen? I expect it to just print out the instructor. Right, we're just going to do that. And then I expect it to print out the instructor's name, right? Because if you can get this, then you print it. So let's try it. Did I save? I don't know. Whoops. Why did this happen?
I think you're missing a parentheses.
Am I? Where?
Last
After
print
the
statement.
name.
Line 10.
Ah, there it is. Good catch. But that wasn't the error I was getting. Oh, there it is. Cool. So there we go. Prints out name, calls dot get. Here's what other thing I want to show you. Let's see what happens. What does get return to you if the value is not there, right? So let's say what happens if phone. Let's see what it gets, what it returns to you. It doesn't print out the none. Let's see. Let's see if I could get it. Put a type in there. That's what I wanted. Why won't you print the type? Oh, it won't print the type because it never gets dirt. Let's comment this out. Oops. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. So get, if it doesn't find anything, if thing is not in there, if that key does not have the value, it's just going to return none, type none. That's useful for you in Python because none is a falsy value. So you can kind of do the same thing with .get. Cool. What else do I want to show you with dictionaries? Let's delete this line. Let me show you get. Let's show you how to reset variables. So let's say instructor. Let's say change. Let's add something, right? Let's add a handle. Right. GRIT, right? And then let's print it again. Oops. Cool. I could get rid of that print, but so you can do that, right? You can just set the key that you want to set equal to the value you want. That's a handy way to do it. Let's see. Anything else I want to show you? Yes, let's show you the other methods now. So the two other ones that I want to show you, or really three, but they're all related, are the keys, the values, and the items methods. So usually these are going to be used when you want to loop over a dictionary. So let's say for key in instructor. Let's see what happens if we just do a regular for loop, just like we would with a list, but we're going to try it with the dictionary. Let's print the key. Actually, let me get rid of this because I don't want it anymore. Delete that. Make it nice and simple. Okay, so we're going to loop through. I called it key, but we don't know what it is yet. Okay, so when you do a basic loop, just for key in dictionary, you get access to each of the keys, right? I have name, I have age, I have courses. Sometimes that's exactly what you want. Sometimes you want to look at each of the values, right? So we have two things we can do here. We have, well, really three. We have dot keys. Let's see what this does. This does the same thing, right? This gives us a list of each of the keys. All right, let's talk about the values. You can do super cleverly named dot values. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it values just so that it's consistent. But remember, it doesn't matter what I call my variables. I can call them whatever I want. I'll show you that in a minute. Right here, we look over the values. I get my value, the name, I get my value, the age, and I get my value of the list of courses here. Cool. All right. So here's what I usually want to do though. And this is why dictionaries are more useful. Usually I want to loop through a dictionary and I want to do something with the key and the value, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense. I want both of those things. So I'll say for key, comma, value. Doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it taco and cat if you want. But we're going to use a different method. We're going to use items. Dot items. Under the hood, it's giving you a tuple of the key and the values. That way, you can loop through each of the key and the values. So let's do that. Let's say, make this fun, print. Let's do it with an F string. The key is key. Print. That's annoying. Value is value. And let's do that. Cool. We got the key is name, the value is Matt. The key is age, the value is 3. The key is courses, the value is blah. Okay. Okay. So let's do, let's actually use a dictionary to solve a problem for us now. Okay. We have all of this information, right? We know how to make dictionaries. We know how to get values in dictionaries. We know how to change values in dictionaries. We know how
I'm sorry, could you possibly go over changing values in dictionaries just quickly once more? Thank you.
You got it. So let's change the instructor. Let's change the name. Now it's Frank. Print instructor. And I'll just comment this stuff out. So we only get that. Cool. So now it's been updated exactly the same way you would update a list, right? Except instead of putting the index here, you're putting the key there and putting the value that you would like that key to be.
What if you want to change the key?
What if you want to change the key? Same idea, right? If I want to give me an example, which key do you want me to change in instructor?
Like, let's say instead of age equals 33, you want to put favorite number is 33.
Okay, so then you want me to add, a new key, a favorite
No,
number.
like replace assign age is 33 into like favorite number is 33. So the
Okay.
age 33 won't print anymore.
So you want me to delete a key value pair then, right? So we can't really just like change the key and the value at the same time, but we can delete the key and add a new key with the same name and a different value, or a different name and a value. So I could show you that. There's the delete keyword. It's a good question you have, but I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to think of a time I've ever really had to use delete keyword to remove a key from a dictionary. Most of the time, you just reassign a key or reassign a value to something. You usually don't delete any values in a dictionary, but there is a method. There's a way to do that. So let's say I want to delete we'll do exactly what you said. Get rid of age, right? So here's my first instructor. I'm going to do the steps to get rid of age. Age, del, and you want a new key, instructor, fave, color, equals green. Okay. And there we go. We have what you wanted. No more age. Use this delete keyword. And we have that new value. So that's the way that you can do what you wanted to do. Like I said, I don't often find a use for deleting a key, but it's good that you know how to do it in case you ever need to. Good. Cool. All right, so let's solve a problem now. Let's write a function. Let's write a function that takes in an instructor and will, it's going to be called a birthday function. Okay. It's going to take in an instructor dictionary and it's going to increase their age by 1. And if they don't have an age, it will set their age to be, not set. It'll be like the key age and the value unavailable. Okay. Seems like a useful function. So let's do it. Def birthday. And it will take in I'll call it an instructor. I'll call it something. It'll take in a person. Okay. And so what I always like to do is write my pseudocode before I actually write any actual code. Super important you do this because otherwise you get lost in the details, you get lost in the syntax, and you try and debug something that just really doesn't matter. So it's important to focus on what matters. So what do I want to do? I want to check if this is a keyword. Yeah, check if person dictionary has a age key. If it does, add 1 to it and set it as the new age. If it does not, add the key age and set the value to the string unavailable. Cool. All right. I now have a plan, and I think that this makes sense. So, right. So how do we check if the dictionary has an age key? Someone tell me.
Get.
Right. We could do dot get. So we do if, let's see, if person dot get age, right? What do we want to do?
Add the 1 to it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? So that's what we, or at least that's what I wrote. So let's say person age is now equal to person age, age plus 1. Does this code make sense? Shake head, thumbs down, thumbs up. Yeah. Cool. All right, cool. We've done stuff like this before. Otherwise,
can you not just do plus equals in this case?
You can. I'm writing it explicitly. You can use plus equals. I think you can. I'll double check, but yes. Otherwise, I will set person age is equal to, what did I want to say? Unavailable. And then looks like we're done. What do we want to do? Return person. Right. Makes sense to us so far? I think it does. I'm going to scroll to the top. I have my instructor here. Let's give me a birthday. So let's say birthday of instructor, and then print instructor. And let's watch and see if I did anything wrong. Hey, happy birthday to me. Let's try it with another one, right? So we get the other case. 1 second. Excuse me. All right, let's try another case. Let's make another instructor. Oops. Let's say, we'll just say Frank. Frank is a dictionary, and his name is Frank. And that's all he has. That's all the info we got on him. He's unknown, mystery man.
Why not just call him instructor number 2?
You know what? That makes sense, I guess. You know what? I'll do that for you. Just for you. Instructor 2. Cool. And I want to print. And let's run it. Let's get rid of this first because we don't need it anymore. And let's run birthday with instructor 2. And we will print instructor 2. And now what we expect to see, and when we print out the dictionary, is we should see the name is still Frank, but the age, well, the age value or key and value will be unavailable. Yay, very useful. Very, very useful. All right, what I've shown you right now, this kind of process and mostly even this pattern is very common for solving a lot of problems. You can imagine, right? We can expand on this to counting the number of IP addresses that happen in some log file, right? Say I give you really big, several gigabyte log file, and I'm like, hey, what's the most common IP address that keeps hitting my server? I want you to write a script for me that finds that out. Well, you're going to have to count up every IP address and every instance of them. You guys have already done similar stuff like this, where you've counted how many letters are in a string, right? How many vowels are in a string, something like that. We're just moving up to the next step. Now I'm asking you, all right, how many IP addresses, or how many times does each IP address occur? And the way you can use that is a dictionary, right? We're going to use a dictionary where the key is going to be the IP address, and the value might be how many times it occurred. And you're going to use the same kind of pattern here, right? Where, well, if you find that IP address, add 1 to the count there. Otherwise, right, if it's the first time you're finding it, set it equal to 1. That's kind of what we're doing here, except if you don't find the age, set it equal to be unavailable. This will probably throw a error if I were to run it with Frank again. Does anyone know why?
Because now it's set to unavailable and it's not missing its age.
Yeah, right. It's not set to, so it's going to hit this. It's going to be like, yeah, we can get that age. And then you're going to be like age plus 1. And it's going to be like, it's going to say, it doesn't know how to add the string unavailable to the integer 1. So maybe I would use something else. Maybe I would put 0 or something like that. Or maybe I'd make some other guard to say, make sure that it's an integer or something like that. But same idea. And that's what I want you to be familiar with. Being able to loop through things, being able to get values from a dictionary, all that sort of stuff. The other way I would write this, if you want to, instead of using the .get method, if you want your Python to look like English, which is fine, you just write if age not in person. If it's not in, then you kind of reverse the order of this, but same idea. It just depends on how you want to think about it. I don't have a preference. You should have a preference, whatever makes sense for you as you're planning your code. So I'll just return this back so it works now. And this should be age, like a string. All right. If right, cool. All right. Any questions that we have before we kind of get started and let you guys start playing with it, building your own dictionaries and trying to use dictionaries to solve your problems?
I have a quick question. With the second condition that you made, if it does not, is that referring to like if he doesn't have an age? I was kind of confused with that part.
Yeah. So person.get is going to try and look at the person and see if they have an age key, right? If they have an age key, it's going to return the age value. So the first time we run this, when we run this with instructor, right, it's going to say, I put myself in here, right? This is the thing that's inside there. It says if person.get. So we .get the age. So we look for the age. Okay. The .get will return 33, the integer 33. And since that's 33, since integer 33 is a truthful number, it's truthy, we go inside this code block. And then we say, okay, grab that person's age and then just set it equal to be the age plus 1. You could also do plus equals if you want. You can do this too. Let's show you. You can plus equals 1. Means the same thing. Okay. Otherwise, that means if you try and get the age, but there is no age, we're going to do this. Does that make sense? Does that clear up your question or no?
So for the variable that we're setting instructor2 to, if you would have put age and then a value.
Yep, let's do that. So I don't know how old Frank is. Say he's a spry 35. We'll add that. And so what we expect this time, and it's very important too, I think it's a good exercise before you run your code, be like, what do I expect to see happening? So I expect to see, we have an instructor here. We have my birthday function. I call birthday with instructor, but that doesn't really do anything. I set a new instructor too, which is Frank. I call birthday with it. And what I expect to happen is that age should go up to 36, and I will see that printed out here. So let's take a look. And yes, that is what I see. Does that help? Does that make it more clear or less clear?
It is clear, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have one more question.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
Why can't you put the print statement around the birthday and instructor too?
You can. So if you ever ask me why I don't do some, I mean, that's not exactly true. Sometimes I don't do things because they don't work, but a lot of times I just do things because it's the way I feel like doing them at the moment. But if you, yeah, we can do that. So now we should see it 2 times. So yes. Most of the time, I will try and write my code in the most explicit way possible. Sometimes I don't.
I have a quick question, too.
Yeah.
So the else statement only works if age is equal to unavailable, right? So let's say somebody put, okay, age not unavailable, but if age is blank.
Wait, hold on. I want to stop you here. This else only works if there is no age on the person. There is no age key. Or if the age value is a falsy value. Like, for example, if I set the value age, and I could set it to be false. And this is a great question because it also shows you another thing. I could set the values to be a Boolean as well, right? Is this going to break stuff? It might break stuff. It's going to break stuff. All right, let's watch it break stuff. Okay. So now we grab if person.getAge. So it gets the age and the age is false. So it's saying if false. Well, if it's false, we're going into this. I'm not sure if that answered your question though.
What happens if you set the age to like a string?
So you want to see when I set the age to a string, it's going to break. Let's see how it breaks. I'll set it to the string,
Probably just that you can't add a number to a string.
That's what I expect. Let's see. You can only concatenate string, not int. So yeah, very good. Good that you can see the error before you even make it. Any other questions? There's probably more.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned the word falsy when you in reference to the get method. I'm a little bit familiar with the concept of truthy and falsy, but I was just wondering if you could go into that a little bit more.
Sure. So in programming languages, there's true and false that you already know, the actual Booleans, and there are values that are called either truthy or falsy. Sometimes they're slightly different depending on the programming language. But for example, integers are all going to be truthy, except for 0. 0 is going to be a falsy one. I think it depends on the language, but like an empty list is sometimes falsy, but like a list that has stuff in it is truthy. Easiest thing to do is just look it up. But what you can say is numbers and strings are pretty much always going to be truthy. 0 is falsy, false is falsy, and sometimes empty strings are falsy. It depends on the language. I got to check. These are the stuff you'll notice when it happens. Does that help?
Matt.
Yes.
So if you print the dictionary again for instructor 2, no, which one did you set to false age?
I set for instructor 2, but I could change it again.
Okay, so change it. So if you reprint that dictionary, will it give you unavailable or will?
Yeah, so what's going to happen here? All right, let me make sure that I don't have anything else that'll distract us. Let's get rid of this, anything having to do with instructor, and just talk about, and just talk about instructor 2. Okay, so instructor 2, we set that equal to this dictionary where it has key name is string frank, key age is Boolean false. And so we're going to run the birthday function on instructor 2. So what happens is we take this whole thing and we put it into our function, right? So that's inside here. And we're saying if person.getAge. So the .get method is going to be like, hey, let's look inside and get the age key. All right. And then we're going to return the age value, and the age value is false, right? So this whole thing says if false. Well, if false, we're going to do the other thing. So what happens here is we're going to set the age to be unavailable, and then we're going to give that person back. So what I expect to happen when this happens is first it's here. We'll print it out another time too. Print instructor 2, and we can do this. It's fine. Cool. So the first time we print it, that's where you have that false. The next time we ran through the birthday function changed it to be the string unavailable.
Okay.
Okay, and then this is just printing it again. Cool.
I have a question, Matt.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure I have this concept correct. Keys have to be strings, but values can be any type.
Keys. So the most correct answer is keys have to be immutable.
Okay.
So to show you, right, let's make a different key, although this is not something you would often do. Let's add the key true. Let's really screw with ourselves. And the value for true is false. Why not? Right. So you can have a key that is a Boolean, can be true. Why would you do this? You probably wouldn't, but you can do it. I think that's fun, I guess. So yeah, you could put Booleans, and what are the other immutable data type we talked about were integers. So let's see, what's the key 37 is going to be banana, because it's that kind of day. Let me print it again. Right, you could see we've added the key of true. We've got the key of just the integer 37. Right, you could add so for keys, anything immutable. For values, it can be pretty much anything. In fact, you can put dictionaries inside dictionaries, nested dictionaries. I heard you like dictionaries. And that's actually a common thing that you'll start to see eventually. You'll see it everywhere. There's nested dictionaries. Right? Like you could think of, try to think of what would make sense for a nested dictionary, like a student dictionary, and maybe the courses, maybe there'll be a key called courses, and the value will be another dictionary with each of the courses, and the value will be the grades from the courses, right? You can imagine nesting information like this. It's the same idea. You could just write it in code too. I don't think you'll have to write any nested dictionaries for today, but it's good question to ask, and yeah. All right.
Oh, Matt, I have a question.
Yes.
So in the if statement, we checked if a certain key was in the dictionary, but what about if you're checking for a value?
Good question. Can you think of an example?
So like if Frank in instructor in the dictionary.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. You can do it. I'm trying to think of just the situation where you're going to want to loop over check just the values, but sure, maybe, it comes up. So easiest way to do it, if value not in dictionary dot values. There you go. That's how you could write it. That would check all of so dictionary dot values is going to give you a list of all of the values in there. And then you're looking, hey, is this thing inside there? Does that answer your question? Right? Like say I'm looking specifically like for the string value inside there. That's the way you could do it. Not often do you want just the key or just the value. Usually you want both. Okay, cool. So I will share this code with you guys. I have no problem with that. I think this part is probably the most useful to you, probably this kind of pattern. A lot of the questions will be like, hey, return a dictionary to me with like the keys are IPs and the values are, how many times it hit a server or how many times in a log, something like that, right? You might have to take one or two extra steps beyond what I've just shown you here, but I think it's all doable. All right, let's get you time to actually practicing this. So let me show you what we're working on. Python data structures. So if you refresh now, you'll be able to actually view the workshop. It's this. Right? So we've got a whole bunch of Python problems. You will not get through all of them. I 100% guarantee you, because we just don't have all of that time. There's this first part, which I suggest both of you and your partner kind of work on. You work on together, and then it kind of guides you through how to build out a script, have your main function, how to open up a file, how to kind of like look through it. Cause that's what we're going to be doing, adding everything from before and adding more stuff. And then we've got these actual challenges that are, that I don't expect us to get through. If you're able to get through 2 or 3 of them by the end of the day, I think that's going to be pretty huge. But we're going to keep moving on from that. So you can go ahead and let me stop recording.